let's see control flow in Golang. So for the control flow, we have if-else statements and switch statements. Let's start with the if-else statements. So for the most simplest part, if statement will be this way. If true, then we'll be having curly braces, and then we can do any of the things over here. Suppose I'm doing println. This is simple if statement. So this is the most simplest if statement in Golang. Let me run this and you will see that you will get this is a simple if statement. So it will start with the if keyword, then whatever condition you are providing, it has to be true, then only it will go inside this loop, inside this particular statement. So it has to start with the if keyword and then followed by the expression that will be returning the result in Boolean, either true or false. If it's true, then only it will go inside this particular if block, else it will skip this particular block. So if this is true, then it went into this particular if block and we got this particular statement over here. Now we can also define or initialize the variable over here and we can use it. So suppose if I do over here, if I equals to 2 and if I equals to 2, so what I did over here is I have initialized a variable over here and assigned a value to it in this particular expression, and then this is my Boolean expression where it will return true or false if I equal to 2 or not. If so, then it will go inside this particular block, else it won't go. If we run this again, you can see that we are getting this particular statement. If I do 3 over here, then it will skip this particular statement. You can see that we are not getting any data. Now when we'll be needing this type of statement, why we need to initialize a particular variable and to check the condition on it. Okay, so let's take the example that we took in the maps. Okay, so let me just copy paste that example. Here you can see that we have created the shopping cart over here, and let's use this over here. Okay, what we are going to do is if underscore OK equals to shopping cart of monitor, then fmt.println item exists in the shopping cart. So what we did over here, we took the example of a shopping cart. This shopping cart is the example that we use in the maps tutorial. Okay, we created a shopping cart and we added few of the items inside this particular shopping cart, and here what we are checking is if underscore comma OK of the shopping cart of monitor. So this will return the value of this monitor in this particular underscore variable, and in this particular OK it will return true or false if this particular value is available inside a particular shopping cart map or not. Accordingly, we are trying to execute a statement. So if we run this example again, you can see that item exists in the shopping cart we are getting because monitor is available. So if we check for any other object, suppose we will check for a microphone. That means if we do this way, then we can see that we are not getting any data over here. So that means we are getting false over here. Mic is not available inside our shopping cart map. So for this kind of scenarios, we'll be using this kind of if statements to check the conditions. So let me just remove this example and let's go ahead with the simple example. Let me clear this out, and when we run this example, you can see that we are not getting the data over here, right? Because this statement is not executing. Now if you want to do some operations also, like if this statement is not getting executed, execute some other statements also. So in that case, you can use the else block. That means if this particular block is not getting executed, execute this else block. So this is the else block that we have created, and inside this else block, let's copy paste this. This is simple else block. So if this condition is being satisfied, then it will go inside this block, else it will go inside this block. Let's run this again, and you can see that this is going inside this particular else block. Now suppose if you want to add more conditions, like over here you can see that you are checking for I equal to 3 over here. Okay, if you want to check like I equal to 2 also, right? So at that time you can use the else if blocks. So you can use else if block where you will define I equal to 2, and if that is the case, then you can define what should be done on that. I can add the same information. You can say that this is a simple else if block. Okay, else if block. So this will check the statements. If I equal to 3, it will check. If so, then it will go inside this block. Else if, it will check if I equal to 2. If that's the case, if that's true, then it will go inside this block. If that is also not the case, then it will go inside the else block. So let's run this and check. and you can see that it went into this is simple else if block because my value is 2. It checked with I equal to 3. It didn't go inside this block. Then it checked over here else if block I equal to 2. Yes, that is true. So it went into this block and this got executed. So this is what if else block will look like. Now let's take one more example. Let's remove all this thing. Let's take the value I equal to 10 and j equals to 20. Now let's check the conditions. Okay, what we'll do, if I is greater than 0, then I want to do some operation. fmt dot println I is greater than 0. Now this is the one example that you do. Okay, if I equal to 0. Now you want to also check that what is the value of j. Okay, so you want to only go inside this particular if block when your value of I and j both are greater than 0. Okay, at the time only you want to execute it. So what you can do is you can use the AND operator. Okay, we will use the AND operator and here we will say j should be also greater than 0. If this is the case, then only you should go inside this particular things. I and j is greater than 0. If you run this again, you can see that you will get the information I and j is greater than 0. Now if I change this to 0, then this will not go inside. You can see that this didn't go inside because it's checking. AND condition means both this condition and this condition should be satisfied, then only it will go inside this block, else it won't go. If you want to do that check like either of the one, then you can use the OR condition. If either of the one is greater than 0, that means you want to execute this block. At that time you can use this OR. If you run this, you can see that it's going inside this block. Okay, so you can use AND operator or you can use OR operator. Now here also you can use either greater than operator, greater than equal to operator, less than equal to operator, okay, or equal to operator. These all operators you can use for doing the checks, okay, doing the quality checks. So this is all about if else conditions in Golang. So now let's go ahead and check the switch statement. Let me clear it out. So switch statements are similar to if else. It can be used for the control flow of your application. So when you have multiple conditions to check on, then at the time you can use the switch options to make your code more readable and more understandable. Okay, so let's go ahead and check the syntax of the switch statement. So to create the switch statement, you will be using the switch keyword and here you will be writing the expression. So suppose I'm giving the value as 2 over here, and inside this case conditions you have to define the different conditions over here. So suppose I'm giving case 1 and I'm giving some operations fmt.println, this is 1, and I'm giving second condition case 2 and I'm giving fmt.println, this is 2. Let me change this also here, this is a typing mistake. And if either of that is not there, we can do default as well. Default, we'll do fmt.println, this is default. So this is a standard syntax for switch case. What we are doing is we are using the switch keyword and we are giving the expression over here, and inside this block we are giving the different case conditions. Either case 1, case 2 or any of them is not available, then we will be using the default operation. So this will be executed when it's not matching anything over here. So let's run this and check. So you can see that we are getting this is 2. So that means we gave the switch statement, switch expression as 2 over here, and when it matched 2, it got executed and the rest of the things is been neglected. Now suppose if you have multiple conditions to check on, at the time you want to execute any particular thing. So suppose when you are having the odd and even, right, you want to do some operation. So what you can do is here, if you see whatever you give over here, okay, accordingly you can add multiple case operations here itself. Okay, so suppose I'm doing odd and even check over here. So what I'll give is all the odd values I'll give over here 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So this way I can define multiple case conditions over here, and here also I can define multiple case conditions 2, 4, 6, 8, and based on this condition this will be executed. So I can print this is odd, I can say this is even. So this way we can add the multiple case conditions also in the switch statement. Okay, so this will be executed when it will match this particular value. So let's run this again and check. You can see that we are getting this is even. If I change this value over here to 1 and run it again, you can see that I'm getting this is odd. And if I give any other values over here, suppose I'm giving 10, then it should run the default one. Okay, so this way also you can provide multiple case conditions in the switch case. We can also use the assignment operator over here, and we can use that value to match the conditions over here. The similar way what we use in the if block. Okay, so suppose I'm using any variable over here, I equals to 2 plus 3, and if I give the I value over here, okay, this will also work, because what we are doing is we are doing some expression and we are assigning value to one variable. So this is one expression, this is one statement over here, and we are using that particular variable to check the conditions inside. So let's run this, and you can see that we are getting the value 2 plus 3 is 5. So we are going inside this particular odd block. So this way also you can provide the information in the switch statement. Now what we were doing is we were giving the expression tag information over here, right? And with that tag we were checking the information, we were checking the logic over here. But we can also create the tagless switch statement. Okay, so if I assign this value over here, and if I remove this all the conditions from here, then we have to use this I operator inside this, okay, to get the boolean value. Okay, so suppose if I do this way, if case condition I greater than 0, okay, use this. If I is less than 5, use this statement. So here we change the entire switch conditions. Okay, earlier we were using based on the tag, based on the expression that we are providing. Now we are using similar to if else blocks. Okay, we provided the expression over here, and with that particular expression we are getting the boolean results over here, and based on this boolean results our execution will be handled over here. Let's run this, and you can see that we are getting that this is odd, so it's executing over here. So this way you can use the switch statements in Golang. Now there are multiple things that we have to take care of. Now there is also one variant called type switch in Go language, where we can do some operations based on the type that we are getting. So let's do that example. Let me remove this code over here. What we will do is we will create the interface for it. Okay, so based from that interface we will get the type, and we will be able to do the switch statement. In the later videos we will be seeing the interface, but for now just understand that we have created the interface. So we will be creating variable interface I interface, and in this interface we will be providing any value. Suppose I am providing 5. Okay, now let's create the switch statement. So what we'll do, we will create switch of I, and here we will do type over here. Okay, now we will add the case condition, case int, then do fmt.println, this is int type. Okay, we can do float 64, we can do string. So we are giving the different types over here. Let's give the default as well, fmt.println, this is default. Okay, let me clear this out over here. Now what will happen over here? So from this code we can identify like we are passing 5 to this particular interface. That means our 5 is of type integer. So what we are doing is we are getting the type of the particular interface, and we are checking with this particular condition. So whatever the type it would be, it will be going into that particular condition. So let's run this and check, and you can see that we are getting into this particular type. So this is a integer type, so it's matching the type of the value that we are passing over here. So suppose I'm passing 5.3 over here. Let me change all this information over here, so we'll get the idea what's happening. Okay, so let's clear this out and let's run this again. So you can see that when we are passing 5.3 we are getting the float 64. Now if I am passing the same result with the double quotes, then we should get the string output. Okay, then you can see that we are getting the string type. So this way we can identify the type of the interface, and with that information we can use in the switch statement also, and based on that we can do our operations. Now you can see that we have not used any of the break statements, right? If you have come from the other programming languages, there you would be using the break statement in the switch statements. Okay, but here we are not using any break statement, because Go compiler will implicitly handle that. It will be having the implicit break statements. Okay, but if you want to add break statements, if you want to take the control of it, you can take the control out of the Go compiler in your hand. You can execute your statement. So suppose if I'm having multiple statements over here, and from one particular statement you consider that okay, whatever the result or whatever the output you were expecting that you have got, and you want to break the execution of the case from there itself, then you can use the break keyword over here to break the operation. So you can see that once you add the break statement over here, you can see that this particular statement is not reachable, so this is not executed. Only these two first statement only got executed. This is left behind. Okay, this is not getting executed. So this way, if you want to take the control out of it, then also you can take the control. So the other thing available is a fall through, just similar to break. So fall through will be used to execute the remaining statements. Okay, break was used to break the execution there itself. Fall through will be used to continue the execution. So fall through is not allowed in the type switch. So let's switch it to the other type. Okay, let's remove the code over here. Let's use the switch statement over here. Expression, case condition. We'll add fmt.println again, and we'll just print 1, and we will add the default over here. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just do 2 3 2 3, and this is default. Okay, so if we pass whatever value over here, okay, if I'm passing 1 over here, and if I add fall through over here, so what will happen is it will go inside this particular statement. Okay, it will execute it, and it will see fall through. So it will take the execution into its hand, and it will execute whatever statements are available after it. Okay, so if I run it again, you can see that whatever statement was available, it got executed. Okay, after that, so fall through will be used that way. So make sure that you use fall through, or if you are using fall through, then the execution will be not what you expect. Okay, so make sure that you are using fall through and you understand what will be the behavior of the application itself. Okay, so this is how you can use break and fall through in switch statements. So this was all about switch statement in Golang.